And every night I pray the Lord will see me through. Every time I think I find a love that's true, I fall right back to walk the floor and think of you. Once there was a time when I had everything, and once around my finger was a wedding ring. But like a fool I threw away the love we knew, and now alone I walk the floor and think of you. Walk the floor and think about the home we shared. The lonesome halls and empty walls are all that's there. So for now your memory will have to do. Each day and night I walk the floor and think of you.
Look alive, it's time to stop. What you're doing, it's 8 o'clock. Friday night pizza show is on tap. LFS6B is where it's at. Whoa, oh. America's Voice is the place to be. Got Slick, Delgado, and of course Big D. The show to watch, LFS6B. Yeah, yeah, LFS6B. Slick does sports and dresses to the nines. Big D loves when he says it's rodeo time. Delgado might wear the tinfoil hat, but we all love what even is that. Aaron and Fran always holding it down. We look forward to another crazy town. Kevin Downey Jr. fills another seat. His sharp wit and wisdom can't be beat. America's Voice is the place to be. Got Slick, Delgado, and of course Big D. The show to watch, LFS6B. Yeah, LFS6B. Big D looking good in his cowboy hat, always intrigued where David Sears at. Our main man Harry is certainly no slouch.
Harry,
Come on,
get
Harry,
your fat ass out of the couch.
America's Voice is the place to be. Got Slick, Delgado, and of course Big D. The show to watch, LFS6B. Ooh yeah, LFS6B. If you want some fun along with good insight, tune in 8 to 10 weeknights. Plenty of merchandise to be had. The odds makers reveal whose picks are bad. Oh, America's Voice is the place to be. Got Slick, Delgado, and of course Big D. The show to watch, LFS6B. Yeah, yeah, LFS6B.
All right, all right, all right. Morning, everybody. What's going on? What is going on? Linda, good morning from Alaska. Joyce on Facebook, good morning. Mary on Facebook. Amy on YouTube. Rose on Facebook. Dana on Facebook. Diane on YouTube. Liz on YouTube. Charlene on Facebook. Linda, Facebook. Josh on Facebook. Good morning, everybody. Buzzard, good morning. Cats B, good morning. Beth on YouTube, good morning. How's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? If you haven't tried this yet, and you have either grounds or whole beans, you really should. It's really good. If Slick and Delgado, okay, here we go already. We're just going right into the betting. If Slick and Delgado win the bet, Damon owes everyone a trip to Guam. It might tip over. It might tip over. Yes, it's not a bad idea. We'll all go to Guam together. Maybe we'll do our first road show from there. And we'll hope that it don't tip over. Good morning, Michelle from Sin City. Oh, yes, Trump will be in Vegas tomorrow night. Scheduled to start around 10 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Local time there. We have three, light, medium, dark, all three. All three, says it on the box. This is the medium. The tasting notes on this one are maple syrup, citrus, and almond. Hello. That'll get you going in the morning. Grind these babies up. All three of them are on the website, and they tell you what the tasting options are in each one. As soon as we get the K-Cup done, we'll get it out. Although I think the beans are I think it's better the other way. But I know the convenience of it all. Actually, that's not true. We went over this the other night. World Series Game 2 is on Saturday. He is at Madison Square Garden on Sunday. No games on Sunday. I mean, no baseball games anyways. Now, he will be there, obviously, during NFL. Yeah, I was at my son's volleyball game before I came to the show last night, and I was monitoring Trump. So I didn't get there till about Trump was done. But I was at the game, and one of the other fathers said, "Oh, I'm going to go to MSG on Sunday. You're going to go?" I said, "No." I said, "You're not going to go either." He said, "Why not?" I said, "Tickets sold out. Tickets sold out in 3 hours, like a week ago. You're not get. It's not first come, first serve. So if you don't have a ticket, you're not getting in." Any word on when he sits down with Joe Rogan? I believe he sits down with Joe Rogan on Friday. And actually, I think it's become more important that this Joe Rogan is happening on Friday, because as you can tell, you can definitely tell now, we are 14 days away, and you can tell now they know they're losing, because it's now this is about the time now where it's going to start going, Trump's head's going to have to start moving back and forth, because here we go, the Atlantic. Here we go. Here they come. Here they come. How many Hollywood access tapes can they try to find? How many stories can they make up? How many slimy media owners that they all know can write stories for them? This is going to be the 14 days of the ultimate smear Pelosi deal, the wrap-up smear. Put it out there. Have everybody point to it. Doesn't matter whether there's even an ounce of truth to it. And that way everybody can say, well, I mean, ABC's reporting. Oh, CBS is reporting on it. Oh, look, the Washington Post wrote about it. It's got to be true. It's got to be true. No matter how stupid, if you have any brain cells, some of this is. But that's what we're in for. This is what we're in for the next 2 weeks. It's going to come hot. It's going to come heavy. And the president just needs to, the president really needs to stay on message. And I think the Joe Rogan thing will be good, because I would suspect Rogan will maybe bring them up, given that it'll be the end of this week. Today's Wednesday. This story broke, I guess, this morning or last night. How Trump supposedly said in a meeting with now just think about this. CBS led, put this on I put this on Twitter actually today. CBS led their unwatchable newscast. Let me just share my. Let's share X.
Trump scoffed at the price of a funeral.
CBS led with the story. Now, keep in mind, the family has denied this happened. Not like somebody who maybe like third cousin of a friend of a friend of an uncle of someone who went to college knows somebody. The family themselves in the room have said this politicization of this is disgusting and it didn't happen. CBS, no less, led their unwatchable newscast with this story.
2 weeks from Election Day as the final battleground sprint is underway. Every hour matters for these candidates as they try to reach as many voters as possible in the key states that will decide this election. For Donald Trump, that meant speaking at a roundtable in Florida at his golf club, courting the Latino vote after that campaign stop. A new report that Trump, while president, used the F word to describe a murdered Mexican-American soldier. That story is that Trump scoffed at the price of a funeral he offered to pay for Private Vanessa Guillen, something Trump's team tonight denies.
Now, just think about how
2 weeks
stupid
from Election Day as the
that
final.
is, to think that he would offer to pay for it and then complain about the amount in front of the family. We're supposed to believe that. Now, even if you didn't want to, even if you yourself thought, well, you know, Trump's not, it's not above him to say something stupid. To think that he would, in one breath, offer to pay, and in the next breath, complain about the amount in front of the family is, I mean, you just have to be as dumb as Tim Walz to believe that story in the Atlantic. And you have, of course, the media now has fallen in love with every general that they hated just a quick 4 years ago. Kelly, oh, he's now their favorite. Milley, he's now their favorite. These are guys with total and utter Trump derangement syndrome to a level that probably none of us will ever understand. None of them ever get questioned from anybody with any substance. They run to NBC. They run to all these places that just want to make out with them on the set to tell these ridiculously stupid stories. We're supposed to believe John Kelly that President Trump is some big fan of Hitler. That he thinks that, you know, the way he, according to John Kelly, the way he did it, you know, there's maybe we should think about it. And John Kelly says, I had to school him on his history. And again, this is a president who we see his relationship with Israel, the way he treated Israel. He has a daughter that married. He has a daughter that converted. He has grandchildren that are being brought up in the Jewish faith. And we are supposed to be buying from John Kelly, who will run to MSNBC every day of the week, but won't sit down with, will he sit down with Mark Levin and tell this story and get questioned about it? Will he sit down with some? No, of course not. He'll go to MSNBC. These are guys who wear stars on their shoulder. It's supposed to be about honor and integrity. And these guys run around the media yapping like they're 17-year-old teenagers in high school. And we're supposed to believe that the president is a big fan of Hitler. I mean, it's just it just really challenges your whole ability to think about these stories, because they're so out of the world crazy. If you have any common sense, to just think about what they're saying and who they're saying it about, and go back and don't look about what they say, look at what he did. He has to be leading. I mean, again, the irony of the party that supports Hamas, the party with the administration that sided with the enemy, and yet they sit there and they talk about Trump as a Hitler lover. It's just it's just crazy. But this is what you're going to get for the next 2 weeks. You're going to get this guy from the Atlantic, and of course he won't go. He's on CNN last night with whatever her name is, Caitlin Clark. Oh no, Caitlin Clark's the basketball player, Caitlin Collins. But he won't go anywhere to be substantively questioned about his sources, about his quotes, about the story, about any of that. No, he just puts it out. There's no names in any of the quotes. Nobody knows. Who it's who's attributed to? Well, nobody. They all need to speak on the anonymity. Just a total slimy hit job. That's all they are. But that's all the detestable media needs. The Al Jazeera media of this country. That's all they need. They just need the red meat, so that they can do the wrap-up smear deal. Somebody can put it out there. The Atlantic puts it out there. Now, oh, you see the story in the Atlantic? Oh, look at the Atlantic. Oh, where's the Atlantic? Oh, look at the Atlantic. Yahoo. Oh, new article in the Atlantic. Everybody writes about it. Everybody points to it. Just utter garbage.
And the point I was making is there's all sorts of things being floated out there. Maybe Jeffrey Goldberg just happened to finish the story 2 weeks before the election. I'm sure Sean will have a point of view about that. I know of one story that's been pitched to a major newspaper and to me, and for all I know, to many others, that I don't believe is true. But if it's true, as I said yesterday, it would end Donald Trump's campaign. Just as if the accusations now thoroughly debunked and attributed by American intelligence to Russia about Tim Walz, if those were true, it would end his campaign. What we're seeing in the final days, is a point I was making, is actors who want a certain outcome are on social media and in pitches to reporters, and in the case of the Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg writing himself, are trying to affect the end of the race because they're so desperate to try to pull a Comey. I'm not pursuing the story. I don't think it's true. People in Mar-a-Lago, calm down. All I'm saying is there are people out there pitching stuff. And if it were true, it would end his campaign. But if someone pitched me a story that said Trump is a Martian, that might not end his campaign. People might think that's cool. You get my point. There's stuff like that. And the point
I actually do get the point, and I think it's probably valid. Yeah, Halpern's not down the middle. We all get that Halpern's not down the middle, but if I think most part, I've watched that morning show every day for like the last 2 weeks, and I think it's been pretty spot on. And I think he's called balls and strikes, honestly. And by the way, how can you not say he's calling ball and strikes here? He's saying story's been pitched to me that if it was true, and he says, I don't think it's true. So, I mean, if you pitch a story that you have a video of Trump in the room with 9 hookers, having an orgy, yeah, that would probably end his campaign. But guess what? I don't think it's true, so I'm not pursuing it. I mean, that's basically what he's saying. It's probably so off the rails, these stories. And again, they're just in the hopes that they can get to somebody who's so deranged and has no integrity, doesn't care about their outlet, doesn't care about getting sued, will just put it out. That's all they want. They just want, somebody's got to put it so they can all then point to it. That's it. That's what they do. So I say good for Mark Halperin for not pursuing garbage like that and calling it out that it's not true. That's what you want. You want somebody who's got a big audience that people look to at this time of the year. He doesn't, whether you don't think he's down the middle, that's fine. I don't really think he is either. But at least he's calling this out for what it is. I'm not pursuing it because it's not true. If there's somebody else who pursues it, well, then it's on them to defend it. But most of these people don't care about defending it because they're slimy. And of course, that's the issue. So since we're talking about it, let's go to
Florida, Bill Clinton campaigning in Phoenix. All right. I want to clarify two things that I said yesterday. I said them precisely, but on TV and the internet, people put headlines, newspapers, headlines of what I said. First, it's more simple, and you guys can weigh in if you want. Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic just happened to publish a story 2 weeks before the election with accusations against Donald Trump, some of which have been disputed for the first time, some of which have been disputed for quite some time. And the point I was making is there's all sorts of things being floated out there. Maybe Jeffrey Goldberg just happened to finish the story 2 weeks before the election. I'm sure Sean will have a point of view about that. I know of one story that's been pitched to a major newspaper, true, that would end his campaign. What we're seeing in the final days, is a point I was making, is actors who want a certain outcome are on social media and in pitches to reporters, and in the case of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg writing himself, are trying to affect the end of the race because they're so desperate to try to pull a Comey. I'm not pursuing the story. I don't.
They're so desperate to pull a Comey. That's the key point. They see the numbers. They feel the momentum. They're talking to people in the states. They see the down ballot candidates, what they're doing in their ads. They're talking to the people who probably have an insight of what's going on in the state. They see what's coming, and they are not going to go quietly into that great night. They are not going to go quietly. That is the point. If they can find their Access Hollywood moment or their James Comey moment, they are desperately going to throw everything at the wall in the next 2 weeks, and that's the point.
Don't think it's true. People in Mar-a-Lago, calm down. All I'm saying is there are people out there pitching stuff. And if it were true, it would end his campaign. But if someone pitched me a story that said Trump is a Martian, that might not end his campaign. People might think that's cool. You get my point. There's stuff like that. So before we move on to early voting, Sean, what would you like to say about this phenomena on both sides of stories being pitched at the end, plagiarism, etc., to try to influence the outcome?
Well, the plagiarism story is not, I mean, again, this is where people say Mark Halpern's not calling it down the middle, and they're right. The plagiarism story has way more legs and proof than some story that President Trump thinks Hitler is his role model. I mean, give me a break. Those two, that's like comparing apples and grapefruits. That's not even close. The plagiarism story, there's damn evidence. You can read it for yourself. That's hardly the same thing.
Well, I mean, I would just say post-Steele dossier, post-Hunter Biden laptop, I would hope, considering the direction that it all seems to go for the most part, I would just hope that any responsible person who used to call themselves a journalist would actually have the same thoughtful demeanor that you do, which is to be more responsible before they publish.
I will say, before the Tim Walz story was debunked with the accusations of a former student at his school, not his student, before that was debunked, I heard from 6 senior Republicans, including 3 associated with the Trump campaign, asking me if it were true. So my point is the campaigns are paying attention to this stuff, and they're thinking, well, maybe it's true. And I know that the Harris campaign thinks some of these Trump accusations are true. They're not just cynically using them. Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, to some extent, this is as old as the Republic itself, which is
Correct.
Campaigns, operatives, leak, try to create stories. It's kind of like the old, like, it's on you to prove the theory's wrong. The difference now is with the internet, everyone.
It's the old wrap-up smear. That's the point. But the point of this I wanted to get to was the early voting.
Reds feel indignant that once again Jeffrey Goldberg and the New York Times are promoting General Kelly's accusations. You can't prove a negative. You can have 13 Trump people say, I never heard him praise Hitler. And that doesn't mean he didn't, in a private conversation with General Kelly, praise Hitler, or more than once. It just, there's no way people can be sure that General Kelly's not telling the truth. I don't like to believe that General Kelly's lying, and I don't like to believe that Donald Trump's lying. And I know on the blue side, the perception is Donald Trump is a chronic, habitual, promiscuous liar. And why would General Kelly lie?
I have not. I do think, and I'm
Could you imagine him doing such a thing?
Well, and this is what I was going to say. And this is one where, like, I feel like after the way we started this with how your comments got taken out of context,
Trump was going to win.
All right, let's jump to the early vote problem here.
I didn't say that we'll definitely know on election day who's going to win before the voting starts. I didn't say that the early vote is inexorably going to continue the way it is. What I did say is that if it continues the way it is, along certain dimensions, which I'll list in a moment, on election day, it'll be clear that Trump's going to win, because the Democrats will not be able to make up on election day the current small lead the Democrats have in most of the battleground states on the early vote. Okay. Sean has raised this. Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. I'm sorry, I got to find it somewhere. I'm going to get on my soapbox for a second.
Yeah.
Because I got asked more about your comments yesterday than any time that since we've done this. And I literally was like, I'm on the program. I didn't hear Mark say that. Let me go back and watch this. And why I think this is sort of what Barack Obama would call a teachable moment is I think for everyone who watches this, just to understand it, you all were part of this. Listening to Mark, I literally was going, I was there. He didn't say that. Let me go back. Maybe I missed something, or, was scrolling or responding to a comment. But this is what goes on in the media. And I just want people to understand that, where there are days, and I dealt with it my entire career, where I'd be like, that's not what I said. Or they're taking that out of context and people go, yeah, whatever. You're a horrible person. I know you said that or you meant it. And I think that, like, we all were part of this conversation yesterday. We heard what Mark said. It was very clear, and people will take things, and this is how narratives go. Now, in this case, it's not hurtful. Like, Mark might have to do some cleanup, and we had phone calls, but when people take things that...
Or Washington Post story about the early vote, they are so surface. They are just stringing together quotes from academics and consultants about what they think. There's no rigorous attempt to figure out what's actually going on, because it's really hard. And it involves, again, not knowing about politics, but knowing about campaigns. So what's going on, as far as I understand it, and I'll say again, I believe I said yesterday, my view is informed by people who do know a lot about campaigns, Democrats, Republicans, and independent analysts. And my independent analysts are fantastic, because they spend a lot of time with me explaining things. They see the data, and they don't have a dog in the hunt, okay? If the data stays the way it is, and as I said every time on every platform yesterday, if, okay, if it stays, it's going to be clear that Trump's going to win, because what's happening now is the percentage, what's called the contribution to the vote, not the total number of, say, black voters in Georgia voting early, but the contribution to the vote of black voters in Georgia is much lower than it would have to be for Trump to win. For Harris to win. As Sean said yesterday, and I think the day before, the biggest spin of a side that's doing disappointing in early vote is these are just moving people from election day voters to early voters. And clearly, some of the Republicans voting early, having been unshackled. In 2000, Donald Trump said, don't vote early. Now the RNC is saying vote early. Clearly, a very high percentage of the people voting early are not new voters. Now, as everybody knows, guys, my tutorial's almost done, and then you guys can annotate, and then we'll move on. If you get people to vote early, you can mark them down as having voted. If you know from your research they're your voters, you no longer have to worry about getting them to send in their absentee ballot. You no longer have to get them to vote on election day. The bandwidth of turnout can move off of them. So that's a big advantage that Democrats have had. Now Republicans are equalizing that somewhat. That's number one. Number two, the Republicans say this isn't happening accidentally. This is testament to our skill in understanding the electorate and getting people to vote, okay? That's a big deal, because the Democrats are counting on a superior get-out-the-vote operation. This suggests maybe their edge is not as great as.
All right, so you get the point. You get the point. Still looking at the same issues. The early vote across the country is far outdoing, I believe, what most Republicans thought. And again, this is why you see headlines. The Hill, who's not been known to be exactly a right-wing outlet, has in the last couple days had a couple of these really catch your attention. And today, Democrats fear race may be slipping away from Harris. Well, I think they've got good reason to feel that way. There's a growing fear in the Democrat circles that the presidential race could be slipping further away from Vice President Harris. We were told yesterday she had to take the whole day off to get ready for, wait for it, Haley Jackson. And as I said last night, might as well have been Haley Bieber. What the hell's the difference? It's not like you were sitting down with Tim Russert or Mike Wallace back in the day. You're going to go on Meet the Press with Tim Russert. Yeah, I would say you better take the day off and be prepared, because Russert is going to rip you apart if you're not on it and informed and quick on your feet, all of which she's not. I mean, with all due respect, Haley Jackson from MSNBC, you got to take the day off to prepare for questions from her. And the clips I've seen from this interview, it's like, who can't? Haley Jackson thinks that this is what's on the forefront of everyone's mind. People can't pay their bills. People have to decide between food and energy. People have to making hard decisions about what to do, how to get by, check to check. And this is the question. These are the questions Haley Jackson's asking.
I will move on, but I don't know that I heard a clear answer from you on the issue of gender affirming care. It sounds like what you're saying is there should be something between trans Americans and their doctors. It feels like that's a long way from "we see you and we love you," which was your message to trans Americans in May. What do you want the LGBTQ plus community to know as they're looking for a full-throated backing from you for trans Americans?
I mean, this is challenging stuff. I mean, this is why I got to get prepared. This is challenging. This is challenging. This is a far cry from "we see you, we hear you." That's tough. I mean, that's tough stuff right there. I mean, this is what's on the forefront of, I'm sure, most Americans' mind in inner cities, and again, looking at their credit card bills, looking at their gas bills, going into the grocery store, looking at inflation going up, looking at take-home pay going down, looking at savings going down, look at 401ks going down, 403bs going down, the possibly going into recession, the world's on fire. No, we want to know. I don't really. She's going to press her on gender affirming care. Like what? This is what we prepped for.
Away from "we see you and we love you," which was your message to trans Americans in May. What do you want the LGBTQ plus community to know as they're looking for a full-throated backing from you for trans Americans?
I believe that all people should be treated with dignity and respect.
Please raise your hand. Let's all point to the person who doesn't think that. Like, what kind of response is that? I believe. Really? I think 99.99% of the world agree that we all think that. Please raise your hand if you don't think people should be treated with dignity and respect. Please. Show us that you're the one.
Period.
Oh. Big period. Like thick font, period. Real big period. Like that's the end of the sentence, Haley. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Like, period. That's it. That's my statement. This is why I took the day off, Haley. Are you getting it now? Do you sense my brilliance, Haley? All people should be treated with dignity and respect. Period.
And should not be vilified for who they are.
Oh, you should not be vilified for who you are. Okay. Thank you. Add that to the list. I mean, this is brilliance on a level that you really have to it's hard to take it all in at one time. It really is hard to take it in at one time when you hear these kind of answers and you understand, like, when you see Tiger Woods in his prime, you're like, wow, he's operating on a different level. Michael Jordan in his prime, you were like, wow, he operates on a different level. This is similar to that. This is like next level brilliance in answering.
And should not be bullied for who they are.
Oh my God. This is amazing. Well, this is an amazing answer. This is an amazing answer that any first grader could have given.
And that is a true statement for me.
Oh, okay, excellent.
My entire career.
Entire career, not just half of it, the entire career.
And that has not changed.
And that has not changed. There you go. I mean, there's a little sneak peek of what you missed. If you didn't tune in for Haley Jackson and her sit down with Kamala Harris. That is challenging deep stuff right there. Challenging deep stuff. This is the level of and you wonder why they think it's slipping away. Cracks in the blue wall of Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin are starting to show. It's trust me, it's not cracks. The cracks were when you took Pudding Brain out and put her in the day that happened. That's when the cracks showed. The cracks are long gone. You got full out holes and the water is spewing through. You got the Cook political report has been moving Senate incumbents in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin now into toss-up races. The three northern states generally move in the same direction in the presidential race. But Harris has been losing ground to Trump in the polls, particularly in Wisconsin. In Michigan, doubts about Arab Americans. I showed you that story last night in Semaphore. Trump's ahead with Arab voters. I mean, people can't believe it. Isn't it amazing? You listen to these people in the media and you think, what do you mean you can't understand it? How stupid are you? Like, how much of a bubble do you live in that you have no concept or are in any way in touch with regular common sense people and what they think? Like, seriously, how stupid are some of you? How out of touch are most of you? Everyone keeps saying it's close. Yes, it's close, but are things trending our way? No. And no one wants to openly admit that, one Democrat strategist said. Could we still win? Maybe. Should anyone be even slightly optimistic right now? No. Of course, we have no idea. Who knows if that quote's even true because there's no name associated with it. John Ralston, a veteran political journalist in Nevada, also reports a rare statewide lead among Republicans who have voted early in the state. It's too soon to call it a trend, but this was a huge day for Republicans in Nevada. And as we pointed out, President Trump will be there, I believe, tomorrow. Ralston wrote in his popular blog, The Nevada Independent, he later noted that overnight Democrats had cut into Republican advantage, but the GOP maintained a 2 percentage point lead as of Tuesday. Let's go see if Ralston came out what he's come out with so far today. Yeah, exactly right. I mean, it's so absolutely ridiculous. And again, trust your own eyes when you hear these ridiculous stories. Trust what you saw. Not what you hear from some retired general who's got Trump derangement syndrome, who won't be put himself up to be questioned by anybody who of any substance. Trust what you saw for 4 years. Trust what you see when you look at his daughter, his son-in-law, his grandkids, to believe this crap. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. How do you think Joe Rogan's feeling about having Trump on Friday? There you go. Here's a beauty. Trump cancels all of his events in favor of one of the worst people ever. This is in some left-wing rag that you wouldn't line your birdcage with because it would be a disservice to the bird poop. Another one. This was actually a pretty funny clip. Delgado played this last night.
Trump. Come on, bro. Harris looks backwards, bro. What? Harris. Man, we not voting for that, man. We voted for Trump, man. Why? Man, we not with none of that, man. Chuck be looking out for the black community, man. We ain't doing nothing, man. I respect.
That's a good video. What was I doing on here? Oh, I was gonna go look for Ralston. Let's oh, there he is, right at the top of my. All right, 10 minutes ago. Let's see what Ralston's talking about Nevada today. Good morning from the We Matter state. On this date in 2012, Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan addressed a rally in Henderson. Senator Dean Heller and congressional hopeful Danny Tarkanian addressed a crowd of 5,000 or so. Only Heller would win. Early vote ends 10, election day in 13. Okay. That's not much like a day in history. Okay. All right. Early voting blog is updated statewide. Republicans plus 12,000 or 3.5%. The Clark firewall 7,000, rural firewall 16.5. GOP maintaining lead. All about how 80,000 independents are voting. $330,000 people have voted, or 16.6%. If turnout reaches 1.4 million, that means just under a quarter of the vote is in. The mail pushed Clark County's share of the vote to just under 73%, or right at registration. Republicans have a 2.5% turnout edge as of right now. Here's what happens if you plug the updated numbers into the extrapolator. Remember, the first set of numbers is Dem breakdown, then ours, then others. Harris needs to be winning independents by double digits to be winning if she and Trump hold their bases. Republicans usually win election day, so you would still rather be them right now. But the question remains, by the end of the early voting, if election day looks very different this year, because so many Republicans, especially in rural Nevada, are voting early. Yeah, I just can't see that. I mean, that's one of the things you're going to continue to hear them hold their hat on. Oh, because the Republicans are now voting early, they're not going to dominate election day like they have in past years. So nobody can trust she's really not that far behind. Nobody can trust what these numbers say because we've never seen this before. And now we're expecting on election day, Republicans are just not going to show up. Take that check to the bank and see if they'll cash it. I would suspect not. I would suspect not. So there's a little bit out of at least Nevada. Oh, God, what did Kilmeade say?
But the bottom line is, if you read H.R. McMaster's book, who is critical of President Trump in some of it and not in others, he talks about how Madison Kelly didn't like the president. And they didn't think he deserved the job, or they didn't think he was worthy of the job. And they went out of his way to make sure a lot of the things they asked him to do that they didn't like never got done. McMaster would be frustrated because he couldn't get their attention. And he would say, It's not your job to rein in the president. It's your job to do what the president wants. And then you factor in the fact that he runs his own company, coming from the business world, the first one we've ever had. It's not even a public company. And then he obviously has frustration. And I could absolutely see him going out, you know what? It would be great to have German generals that actually do what we asked them to do, knowing that's a third, maybe not fully being cognizant of the third rail of German generals who are Nazis and whatever. But he was frustrated with these slow.
I mean, Brian, come on. Trying to rationalize and somehow come up with a scenario that you can defend if something like that was true. Just say it's not true. Why try to? I mean, that's just stupid. If you're not following Seth Keshel, by the way, you should. He's another really on top of it if you want to really dig into the minutia of the numbers. The chess pieces to replicate 2020 are not in place as they were then. Mail volume is not only less Dem-friendly, it is far reduced in volume. Early voting has been a disaster, and minority urban Dems are not turning out at nearly the same rate, and it's redder all across the country. I'm not saying something won't be attempted. What I am saying is that if it is, successful or not, it won't be the same halfback dive up the middle until they punch it in like last time. It's a good way to put it. Good way to put it. So whether you want to classify that as President Trump, like he's been saying, swamp the vote, too big to rig, there's other things working against them to steal it like last time. There you go. What they did in 2020, what they'll try to pull off in 24. It'll be so obvious. Let's see if Seth put anything else out this morning. This is why we need hard numbers on request. They choked at 21,000 out of harassment the other day. Overseas ballots, fraud is the play. Oh, okay. Something to keep your eye on. Overseas ballot fraud is the play. I can't imagine that they would not have a pretty good handle on how many overseas ballots we've seen in past elections and how many there should be. That doesn't seem like the play. I mean, just thinking about it common sense wise for 2 seconds, but Larry Schweiker responded to that, what I just read you. Correct, I've been saying this for over a year. They can't cheat their way out of this massive loss. Maricopa County in Arizona is now saying it could take 10 to 13 days to tabulate the results for the election. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. Maricopa County takes 13 days. The state of Florida will have it done that night. And one county in Arizona needs 2 weeks? Are they kidding me? What the hell, again, what the hell kind of bullshit is that? Who's running? I don't know. If I worked there and it's part of this operation, I'd be embarrassed to even put this statement out. How do you put that statement even out and not look like a jackass? The whole damn state of Florida will have the results that night. You need 2 weeks for one county? Give me a break. A couple other things. Trump advances to lead race for Electoral College. Blue wall shrinking as GOP voters come home.
9 to 4. I am Tim Constantine. It's election season 2024. And when you look at the polls, whether they're Gallup or the Wall Street Journal or CBS or anybody else, you'll see numbers like 49 to 47, 48 to 48. I'm here to tell you those numbers don't matter at all because that's not how we choose a president. It isn't a nationwide election by raw numbers. It's done state by state, and it's done in what's called the Electoral College. Let me explain. There are 50 states plus the District of Columbia.
Steal the election out
Each
of
one of
county.
those states gets a proportional voice. So you've got more people live in California than any other state, so they get a bigger voice in the process. Texas, same thing. Big state, big impact. And then you've got the little states like Kansas or Nebraska or Maine. They get a smaller vote, but they still get a vote. This was done originally with the 13 colonies that became the first 13 states because the smaller...
Yeah, okay, we know about the Electoral College and how it came about. Michael Goodwin today. Michael Goodwin in the New York Post today, great article. Pray for Donald Trump to win the 2024 election in a landslide. He's always good, Michael Goodwin. So you could check that out. And that's about it this morning, folks. That's all I saw. Michael Prosser out of North Carolina this morning. The 6th day of early voting is wrapped up, and once again, Republicans were able to close the gap on Democrats, a near tie now in the in-person early vote. Total turnout, mail plus in-person, is as follows. Democrats, 589,000. Republicans, 578. Others, 538. Weekdays continue to yield strong turnouts as we've banked about 32% of the total expected vote in the state. Republicans inched closer again today in total votes. Outside of the party turnout, we see the same trends in North Carolina and Georgia. Each weekday yields a wider share of the vote, and women continue to expand their lead over men. More of the same is coming today, tomorrow, and Friday. Republicans are likely to retake the overall lead before the weekend hits. So again, if you buy into all of this early voting is somehow going to equal Republicans not showing up on election day, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. So I think these numbers can only be looked at as good, very solid for Republicans, good trends everywhere. And again, to end where we started, I think what we're about to see is a lot of what we saw this morning from The Atlantic, from John Kelly. More wrap-up smears, more things to point to, more things for their media to go run and keep saying, and just hope that somehow if you're on the fence and you're like, well, I don't know, I don't like the way he tweets, I don't like the way he talks, he's a little too rough around the edges for me. Those are the people that they're trying to get to with these stories. People who go, she's an idiot, but I don't really like him. What do I do? If there's that many of them out there, those are the people they're trying to get to. Because anybody with an IQ higher than 6 knows that these stories are absolute crap. Seth Keschel says Harris will cast off North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada, basically meaning conceding all 3 of them, and throw all resources into 4 states, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, probably by this weekend. Here's how the final 13 days will go. This week, The Atlantic or other leftist rag will drop hit pieces against Trump, each increasing in severity. As long as Trump stays message disciplined, he's got Joe Rogan on Friday to reset the narrative. Exactly. There'll be a modest surge in Dem early voting this weekend. The numbers still won't be good enough. Down ballot Dems will begin to publicly distance themselves in the final week. Going into Election Day, Trump will be the acknowledged favorite. I think we've already reached that. He's the acknowledged favorite at this point. I mean, it's hard to imagine her totally saying, okay, let's give up on North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada. Nevada. It's where Trump's supposed to be the worst of any of those. Of the 7, 8, 9 real important states. Nevada is the one place that they shouldn't even be worrying. She's given up on it? I don't know about that yet, but let's hope.
What concessions would be on the table? Religious exemptions, for example? Is that something that you would consider?
I don't think we should.
Oh, Hallie Jackson's still on it. Don't worry about inflation or spending or debt or what's going on around the world. Oh no, we're still talking about abortion, still talking about gender affirming care. That's big time interview there. Good thing she took half the day off.
I got to tell you, this campaign is so everything that's said about Donald Trump and his treatment of women and the gender gap in this campaign. This rapper, who I fully admit sold a lot of records, if you've read some of the things he has said about the promotion of domestic violence.
No. What he said,
women.
He said if you're famous,
Bakari,
you can grab them by the.
Bakari, I listened to your entire filibuster. If you could just give me 13 seconds.
I give you 12 because he said grab them by the.
And so when you think about the things he has said in order to sell those records.
God bless Scott Jennings.
And you also consider some of the questions that are swirling around Harris's own husband in this regard.
Oh my God. Okay, you don't even get 12 seconds.
I'm
not going to let you go into the far end of BS.
I'm just telling you.
Scott,
like, you can't go.
Listen,
I can't represent you in a defamation case.
We're gonna.
How'd you like to be Scott Jennings every night, having to deal with that?
You can't even do cocaine in this country anymore, you know? And that seems like a crazy thing to say. And don't say that. Don't say that. But I said it. But yeah. But don't say that anymore. The last one I went to, some dude selling a fucking boat at one of them.
Exactly.
And we're like, you can't do. We're trying to get off of a drug.
By the way, if you haven't watched Theo Von with JD Vance, it's worth watching. Just as while you're watching it, keep in the back of your mind that people like Tim Walz, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, and others told us that this guy was weird. Watch this interview, and if you don't come out thinking that is the most normal dude I've ever seen and would love to hang out with and have a beer, I mean, he couldn't be more normal. Laughs at the things that any guy would laugh at, jokes the way any guy would sit down and joke with his buddies. He couldn't be more normal. I'm watching this interview and I'm thinking to myself, Tim Walz, of all people, tried to tell us that this guy was weird? Mr. Richard Simmons? Mr. Tampons in Boys' Bathrooms told us this guy was weird? You watch this conversation and tell me you think this guy's weird.
Dude. And some guys started bidding on the boat. I'm like, and they had made him take it outside. Yeah, because it's outside issues or whatever. Dude, I was in a meeting. Some guy had a fish hook stuck in his freaking cheek, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, yeah.
Man.
But he had 2 weeks clean.
Yeah. He'd either had a really bad night or a really good night. Maybe both. Jesus.
Yeah. He's so weird. That's exactly what anybody would say. So anyways, it was actually a good interview. JD was great in the interview. Yeah, exactly. Just what I just said. JD Vance laughing his ass off is the best video of the day. I mean, it couldn't be more normal. Couldn't be more what any guy sitting down with Theo Von would react like and talk about and respond to. I mean, just, oh, he's weird. Oh, really? He's weird. He's weird. While your guy's going, pointing off stage like he's in Guys and Dolls. No, but he's weird. Okay, got it. Yeah, okay, thanks. Got it. Got it. Oh, boy. Oh, Eileen doesn't want me to insult Richard Simmons. I love Richard Simmons. All I'm saying is Tim Walz has Richard Simmons energy. That's all. Exactly. That's all, Mr. Jazz Hands. Train with the trolley. Luck be a lady tonight. I don't know. You never know. I mean, I saw that. It's not, I don't think he's going out on a ledge. I mean, again, your eyes don't deceive you. All right. Schedule for the day. By the way, sorry for not stream. It's hard for us to stream the night show when it's so discombobulated because of the Trump events. It's just it's hard for us to get a place to start it. And that's the way it's going to be, unfortunately. We can stream some of the Trump things, but we got to be careful for the copyright strikes. And it is okay, so today's schedule. Trump holds a Believers in Ballots Faith Town Hall with Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones in Georgia. That's at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then tonight, Trump Turning Point PAC and Turning Point Action hold a rally in Duluth. And that says 7 p.m. So I don't know if that's the president speaks at 7 p.m. or the speakers start at 7. But that will definitely affect the show again tonight, depending on, number one, if that's the speaker start at 7 or Trump starts at 7. And if it's Trump starts at 7, is he actually on time? Which this is at 3, so I would suspect he has plenty of time to get to Duluth from wherever he's starting the day. So it'll definitely affect the show tonight in some way. Last night he went almost 2 hours, started around 7. He got on stage around 7:03. He was pretty close to on time, and then obviously went to almost 9. So same situation tonight. We will we'll pick it up whenever he's done. Tomorrow on Thursday, he's holding a rally in Arizona, but that's 4 o'clock Eastern time, 2 Mountain time. So that will not affect the show. But then he does do another one in Vegas tomorrow night, but that's 10 p.m. Eastern, so we'll be done. So we'll be sneaking in hopefully a full show in between these two events tomorrow. Friday, 7:30 p.m. in Michigan. So again, Friday we'll probably not have much of a show, because he'll start around 7:30, maybe a little late. He'll start around 8. He'll take up most of the show on Friday. So we'll just be covering the rally on Friday. 2 events on Saturday obviously doesn't affect the show, but just so you know, Trump in Michigan at noon. And then Penn State College at 4 on Saturday. And then the big one Sunday, 5 p.m. at MAGA Square Garden. As far as JD goes, 10 a.m. Oh, that's already done. Oh, actually 10 a.m. Pacific. So 1 p.m. today, he's in Las Vegas. 4:30 Eastern today, he's in Reno. 8 o'clock tonight, he's with Don Jr. in Arizona. So he's got a busy day. Tomorrow he's in Michigan and in North Carolina and in Pennsylvania. So here we go. 14 days, crisscross the country. Let's go. So we'll do as many shows as we can. We'll try to get a stream started tonight. If he goes, obviously he's going to go right over the 8 o'clock hour, so we'll try to start it at some point. Yeah, and that's the day. So thanks for joining me this morning. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. And we'll see you at some point tonight, live from Studio 6B, Real America's Voice. We'll see you then. Have a great day.